Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History, another exciting journey into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins. Today, we are turning our attention to one of the most beloved and widely collected coins from the United States, the Roosevelt Dime from 1996. At first, you may think a coin minted so recently could not possibly carry much collector value, but don't be fooled. Even modern coins, when they possess the right characteristics, can surprise you with their rarity and potential worth. So get comfortable, because we're about to explore the story, history, and hidden treasure behind this small yet powerful coin. The Roosevelt Dime holds a very special place in American history. First introduced in 1946, this coin was designed to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away the year before. Roosevelt wasn't just a great leader during the difficult years of the Great Depression and World War II, he also played an important role in raising awareness for the fight against polio. Because of this legacy, the dime became the perfect coin to carry his image, as the March of Dimes charity was one of the leading organizations that supported polio research and treatment. Since then, every dime minted in the United States has carried his portrait, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Now, when we move forward to 1996, we find ourselves in an important year for the Roosevelt Dime. That year marked the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt Dime series, which had been in continuous circulation since 1946. Because of this milestone, the United States Mint paid special attention to the dimes minted that year. Dimes were struck at several mint facilities, each identified by its mint mark, those tiny letters that collectors love to examine so closely. The P stands for Philadelphia, the D for Denver, the S for San Francisco, and in 1996, there was also a special W mint mark for West Point, created exclusively for collectors as part of mint sets. That special release makes 1996 dimes particularly exciting for coin enthusiasts, but even the regular circulation strikes from 1996 hold their own fascination. Millions were produced, and because dimes are used in everyday transactions, most people would never suspect that any coin from this year could hold great value. Yet, as seasoned collectors know, the true key to value lies in details such as mint errors, striking quality, condition, and rarity of survival in pristine state. A coin may be common when minted, but finding one decades later in untouched condition can be far rarer than expected. When you take a close look at a 1996 Roosevelt Dime, the obverse features the familiar profile of Franklin Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, with the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," the year of issue, and the mint mark tucked neatly on the front. On the reverse side, the coin carries its powerful symbols, a torch in the center representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch symbolizing peace on the left and an oak branch representing strength on the right. Together, these images make the dime a small but powerful emblem of American values and resilience. Collectors especially pay attention to dimes from 1996 that show unusual qualities. For example, error coins created by misaligned dies, double strikes, off-center strikes, or planchet flaws are considered treasures. Each error coin tells a unique story from the minting process and becomes one of a kind, making it far more desirable to collectors than ordinary examples. These mistakes slip through the strict quality controls of the U.S. Mint and become accidental rarities that can command impressive prices when discovered. Condition also plays a massive role in determining a coin's value. A 1996 dime that has been heavily used in circulation is worth only face value. However, a dime that has been preserved in uncirculated or proof condition can rise dramatically in value. Collectors and grading services look for coins that have sharp details, brilliant luster, and no signs of wear. Coins graded at the highest levels, such as mint state 67 or higher, become true showpieces in collections and auctions, and then there is the thrill of discovery. Imagine sorting through a handful of dimes, only to realize that one of them has a rare error, or that it has survived nearly 3 decades without a single scratch or blemish. That is what makes coin collecting so exciting. It's like a treasure hunt where every pocketful of change could hold something extraordinary. So how valuable can the 1996 Roosevelt Dime really get? While most are still worth only a few cents above face value, the rarest examples, those flawless, high-grade specimens or coins with extraordinary mint errors, have shocked collectors with their prices. And in some cases, a single 1996 Roosevelt dime has been valued as high as $35,000, yes, you heard that right, $35,000 for a coin that many people would toss into a jar without a second thought. That is the incredible world of coin collecting, where history, rarity, and condition come together to transform a simple dime into a small fortune. So next time you're holding a dime from 1996, take a moment to really look at it. Check the mint mark, study its condition, and imagine the story it carries from the day it left the mint to today. You just might be holding a hidden treasure in your hands. And as always, today we are going to take a deep dive into the story of a coin that almost everyone in America has seen, held, or spent at one time or another, the Roosevelt dime. But not just any dime, we are focusing on the United States of America Roosevelt dime minted in the year 1979, a coin that, while it may appear ordinary at first glance, has secrets hidden within its history, design, mint marks, and special conditions that can make it a truly valuable piece for collectors. So, sit back and stay with me until the very end, because you'll want to hear just how much a 1979 Roosevelt dime can be worth in today's collector market. Let's begin with the background of this iconic coin. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, following the passing of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the only U.S. president elected to 4 terms. He guided the nation through the Great Depression and most of World War II, but his personal story was also one of courage. He struggled with polio for much of his life. Because of his connection to the March of Dimes, a charitable campaign originally created to fight polio, it was only fitting that the dime would carry his portrait. The design was created by chief engraver John R. Sinek, and since 1946, it has remained largely unchanged. By 1979, the Roosevelt dime was already a well-established coin in American pockets, but the coins struck that year carry their own unique intrigue. In 1979, dimes were minted in 3 major facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each one is identified by a mint mark, a tiny letter that tells you where the coin was made. The P mint mark, which by then had become standard, signified Philadelphia, while the D marked Denver. The S mint mark represented San Francisco, where proof coins were made specifically for collectors. These mint marks may seem like small details, but to collectors, they can make a huge difference in a coin's rarity and desirability. Proof coins from San Francisco often boast mirror-like finishes and sharp details, making them stand out in any collection. The obverse of the 1979 Roosevelt dime displays the left-facing portrait of Franklin Roosevelt, with the inscriptions, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," along with the year 1979 and the mint mark. The reverse of the coin features its classic trio of symbols: a torch standing tall in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. Together, these images tell a powerful story of American ideals. Though the dime is small in size, the symbolism it carries is weighty and profound. Now, why should we pay special attention to a coin like the 1979 dime, which was minted in the hundreds of millions? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and the occasional mistakes that can slip through the minting process. While many of these dimes entered circulation and became worn down by decades of daily use, those that were preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition are significantly harder to find today. Collectors treasure coins that remain sharp and untouched, and the higher the grade on a professional coin grading scale, the more impressive the value becomes. Even more exciting are the mint errors and varieties that occurred in 1979. Errors can include off-center strikes, double die obverse or reverses, filled mint marks, and even planchet flaws where the metal itself was imperfect before being struck. Each error makes the coin unique, and because error coins are much rarer than regular issues, their value skyrockets among collectors. For instance, a 1979 Roosevelt dime with a dramatic off-center strike or a clear double die error can command thousands of dollars at auction, and then there are proof coins, struck in San Francisco with the S mint mark. While most proofs were made with precision and care, even here, collectors have discovered interesting anomalies such as variations in the clarity of the mint mark. These variations, though subtle, can make a coin stand out as particularly collectible. The thrill of collecting coins like the 1979 dime comes from the chance discovery that something ordinary might not be ordinary at all. Imagine sifting through a jar of loose change or receiving a handful of coins at the grocery store and suddenly spotting a dime that appears slightly different. That small detail could turn out to be a minting error worth thousands. Stories like these are what make the world of coin collecting so captivating. Every coin has potential, and every collector becomes a treasure hunter. Of course, condition is always critical. Coins graded mint state 65 or higher are considered gems, with no visible signs of wear, and finding a 1979 dime in such condition is rare. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins that look as fresh today as they did when they rolled off the presses more than 4 decades ago. Combined with the right era or rarity, the value can climb to astonishing levels. So, how much can a 1979 Roosevelt dime really be worth? While the vast majority remain at face value, it's those select few that have been preserved flawlessly or exhibit rare errors that achieve incredible prices. And in some cases, the 1979 Roosevelt dime has reached an astounding value of $39,000. Yes, you heard correctly, $39,000 for a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about spending. That is the magic of numismatics, turning everyday coins into extraordinary treasures. So, the next time you come across a Roosevelt dime from 1979, don't dismiss it as pocket change. Take a close look at its mint mark, study its details, check for any unusual features, and most importantly, consider its condition. You never know, you might just be holding one of those rare examples that could be worth a small fortune. And as always, today we are going to explore a coin that many people overlook in their everyday change but that holds a fascinating story and a surprising potential value, the United States of America Roosevelt I dime minted in 1980. At first glance, a dime may seem small and ordinary, but as we peel back the history, design, and unique qualities of this coin, you'll see why it captures the attention of collectors all over the world. So make sure to stay with me until the very end, because I'll be revealing just how valuable a 1980 Roosevelt dime can truly be, and the number might shock you. The Roosevelt dime has been a cornerstone of American coinage since its introduction in 1946, honoring the memory of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Roosevelt is remembered as the leader who guided the United States through some of its most difficult years, including the Great Depression and World War II. But beyond his political legacy, Roosevelt also became an enduring symbol of courage in the fight against polio. His connection to the March of Dimes charity made the dime the perfect coin to carry his image. Designed by chief engraver John R. Sinek, the Roosevelt dime has remained remarkably consistent over the decades, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage history. By 1980, the dime had already been in circulation for more than 3 decades, but this year is particularly interesting for collectors. Coins from 1980 were minted in 3 major facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and each mint produced coins with small differences that can affect their value today. The Philadelphia mint coins carried no mint mark in earlier years, but by 1980, the P mint mark had become standard, appearing proudly on the obverse of the coin. Denver's production carried the familiar D, and San Francisco struck S mint mark proof coins with mirror-like finishes designed especially for collectors. These proof coins are particularly prized for their sharp detail and brilliant appearance, but even ordinary circulation strikes can have hidden value. On the obverse, the 1980 Roosevelt dime shows the left-facing profile of Franklin Roosevelt with inscriptions reading, "Liberty, in God We Trust," the year of issue, and the mint mark. On the reverse, you'll find the classic design of a flaming torch in the center, flanked by an olive branch on one side representing peace, and an oak branch on the other representing strength and independence. Despite its small size, the dime communicates big ideas, symbolizing resilience, freedom, and unity, values that Americans hold close to heart. But how does a common coin like the 1980 dime become valuable? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and the quirks of the minting process. While hundreds of millions were struck for circulation, only a fraction survive today in pristine condition. Most were tossed in change drawers, rattled around in pockets, or used in vending machines, leaving them scratched and worn. But when a coin is preserved in uncirculated or proof condition, it becomes something extraordinary. Grading services like PCGS and NGC carefully examine these coins, awarding them designations such as Mint State 65, Mint State 67, or even higher. Each jump in grade makes the coin exponentially rarer and more desirable, driving up its market value, and then there are the exciting mint errors and varieties. These mistakes occur when something goes wrong during the minting process. Maybe a die was misaligned, a coin was struck off-center, or the design was doubled slightly on the obverse or reverse. Other times, a planchet error can cause unusual metal compositions or missing details. Each error coin is unique, and collectors love them because they stand out from the countless ordinary examples. A 1980 dime with a bold double die error or an extreme off-center strike can instantly leap in value, fetching thousands of dollars at auction. Proof coins from San Francisco also hold a special place. Their deeply mirrored backgrounds and frosted devices create a stunning contrast, but sometimes variations occur even in these carefully produced coins. For example, collectors may find differences in strike clarity or cameo contrast, which can make a proof dime more desirable. These details may seem small, but in the numismatic world, they can mean the difference between an ordinary coin and a prize worth collecting. The thrill of coin collecting often comes from the hunt itself. Imagine sifting through an old jar of change passed down from a relative, or casually checking a handful of coins from your wallet, only to spot a dime with extraordinary qualities. That small coin could turn out to be a hidden gem, and stories like these continue to inspire collectors worldwide. Every coin has potential, and every collector knows the excitement of discovering that something small and overlooked could hold immense value. So now the big question: how much is a 1980 Roosevelt dime actually worth? While most examples remain close to face value, the rarest pieces in perfect condition, especially those with unique mint errors, can reach unbelievable prices. In fact, some 1980 Roosevelt dimes have been valued at as much as $55,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $55,000 for a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about spending on a cup of coffee. This is the fascinating world of numismatics, where history, rarity, condition, and a touch of luck can transform an ordinary dime into a life-changing treasure. So the next time you come across a Roosevelt dime from 1980, don't rush to spend it. Take a closer look at its mint mark, inspect its condition, and pay attention to any unusual features. You may be holding a small fortune in your hand without even realizing it. Today, we are stepping back into the fascinating world of U.S. coinage to talk about a small but mighty piece of American history, the United States Roosevelt I dime minted in the year 1974. At first glance, you might think a dime from the 1970s could only ever be worth its face value, just 10 cents, but once you understand its background, design, and the rare qualities that some of these coins possess, you'll see why collectors are willing to pay astonishing amounts for the right example. So sit tight and stay with me until the very end, because I'll be revealing just how valuable a 1974 Roosevelt dime can be, and the final number may shock you. The Roosevelt dime has been part of American life since 1946, when it was first introduced to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. His leadership during the Great Depression and World War II earned him an unforgettable place in history, but his personal battle with polio and his association with the March of Dimes charity made the dime the perfect coin to carry his portrait. Chief engraver John R. Sinek designed the coin, and for nearly 8 decades, the Roosevelt dime has remained a familiar fixture in U.S. pockets, piggy banks, and coin collections. By the time 1974 arrived, the Roosevelt dime had already undergone significant changes. Just a decade earlier, the U.S. Mint had shifted away from producing silver dimes. Rising silver prices forced the government to change the composition of the dime in 1965, replacing silver with a copper-nickel-clad composition. This meant that by 1974, all Roosevelt dimes were made from a copper core with layers of nickel on the outside. Though they lacked the silver content of earlier issues, these clad dimes still carried historical weight and remained sought after when found in exceptional condition. Let's take a closer look at the design. On the obverse side of the 1974 dime, we see the left-facing portrait of Franklin Roosevelt, dignified and bold, surrounded by inscriptions that include the word liberty and the motto, "In God We Trust," along with the year of minting and the small but all-important mint mark. This mint mark can be a P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco, where proof coins were produced. Though tiny, this mint mark holds big significance for collectors, as some mints produced far fewer coins than others, and proof coins from San Francisco often display mirror-like finishes that make them stand out. On the reverse side of the dime, the symbolism is equally rich. The central image of a blazing torch represents liberty. To its left is an olive branch, symbolizing peace, while to its right stands an oak branch, representing strength and resilience. This trio of symbols makes the dime more than just a piece of currency. It's a miniature artwork celebrating American ideals. But how can a 1974 dime, of which millions were minted, be worth more than just 10 cents? The secret lies in rarity, condition, and those fascinating quirks that sometimes occur at the mint. While most dimes from this year entered circulation and became worn from everyday use, a small number were carefully preserved in pristine condition. These coins, especially those graded mint state 65 or higher, are incredibly hard to find today. Collectors are always chasing after coins that show sharp details, full luster, and no signs of wear. Each point higher on the grading scale can dramatically increase a coin's value, and then there are the minting errors. Error coins are the true wildcards of coin collecting, and they are what transform an ordinary piece into a rare and valuable treasure. Some 1974 dimes display double die errors, where the design elements appear doubled due to a striking mistake. Others may have been struck off-center, leaving a portion of the design missing. Sometimes, planchet errors occur, creating coins with unusual weights or missing layers. Each error tells its own story, and since these mistakes are rare by nature, collectors are eager to pay top dollar for them. Proof coins from San Francisco also deserve attention. These coins were struck multiple times with polished dies to create mirror-like surfaces and frosted details. Collectors value them not only for their beauty but also for their relative scarcity. And if a proof coin contains even the slightest anomaly, such as a mint mark variation or strike flaw, it becomes even more desirable. What makes collecting so thrilling is the possibility of discovery. Imagine finding a 1974 dime tucked away in an old coin jar, or receiving one in change, only to realize it carries a rare error or has been preserved in flawless condition. That small, unassuming coin could suddenly become the star of your collection or even a life-changing financial surprise. So, how valuable can a 1974 Roosevelt dime really be? While the vast majority are still worth only face value, the rarest examples, those with stunning condition or dramatic errors, can achieve incredible prices at auction. In fact, some have been known to reach as high as $65,000, yes, you heard that correctly, $65,000 for a coin that most people would overlook as pocket change. That is the true magic of numismatics, ordinary coins becoming extraordinary treasures when rarity, condition, and history align. So the next time you come across a Roosevelt dime from 1974, don't dismiss it. Look closely at its mint mark, study its condition, and check for any unusual features. You never know, you might be holding a small fortune in your hand. Today, we are going to talk about a very special coin that may look like just another small piece of change in your pocket, but in reality, it has a fascinating story and can hold extraordinary value. We are diving deep into the United States of America Roosevelt dime minted in the year 1981. This little coin, often overlooked by most people, carries a legacy of history, artistry, and rare surprises that make it a must-know for collectors. So stay tuned until the very end, because I will reveal just how much a rare 1981 Roosevelt dime can be worth today, and trust me, the number will absolutely amaze you. The Roosevelt dime first entered circulation in 1946, following the passing of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, one of the most influential leaders in American history. He was not only the president who guided the nation through the Great Depression and most of World War II, but he was also a symbol of hope in the fight against polio. His close association with the March of Dimes charity made the dime the perfect coin to bear his portrait. The design was created by chief engraver John R. Sinek, and since then, the Roosevelt dime has been one of the most enduring and recognizable pieces of American coinage. By the time 1981 rolled around, the Roosevelt Dime had been in circulation for 35 years. These coins were minted in 3 primary facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each producing their own variations distinguished by tiny but important mint marks. The P stands for Philadelphia, the D for Denver, and the S represents San Francisco, where proof coins were made specifically for collectors. Each mint mark adds its own flavor to the coin story, and collectors often pay close attention to these details because they can dramatically influence rarity and value. On the obverse, or front, of the 1981 Roosevelt Dime, we see the familiar left-facing portrait of Franklin Roosevelt, with inscriptions including the word Liberty, the motto, In God We Trust, the year of minting, and of course, that tiny mint mark that tells us where the coin was struck. On the reverse, the design is rich with symbolism, a torch at the center representing liberty, an olive branch to the left symbolizing peace, and an oak branch to the right representing strength. Even though the dime is one of the smallest U.S. coins, its design speaks volumes about the ideals and spirit of the nation. But what makes the 1981 dime stand out in the world of coin collecting? At first, you might assume that because these coins were minted by the hundreds of millions, they couldn't possibly have much value. But here is where the magic of numismatics comes in. Value is not just about how many coins were made, but about condition, rarity, and the occasional errors that occur during the minting process. Condition is one of the biggest factors. Most 1981 dimes were used in everyday transactions, rattling around in pockets, purses, and cash registers, leaving them worn and scratched. But finding a coin in pristine, uncirculated condition is like finding a time capsule from over 4 decades ago. Coins graded as mint state 65 or higher, especially those with flawless luster and sharp details, are much more valuable than their circulated counterparts. Collectors love coins that look as though they were just minted yesterday, and those examples are becoming harder to find as time passes. Then we come to the fascinating world of mint errors. Errors can occur when something goes wrong during the striking process. Off-center strikes, double dies, missing mint marks, and planchet flaws are just a few examples of errors that can make a coin unique. Each error coin is a one-of-a-kind piece of history, and collectors are willing to pay significant premiums for them. Imagine holding a dime that shows the design slightly shifted, or one where the mint mark is missing entirely. That coin could be worth far more than its face value. Proof coins from San Francisco also add another layer of excitement. These coins were not intended for general circulation but were specially struck for collectors, often multiple times with polished dies to achieve a mirror-like surface and frosted design. A flawless proof coin from 1981 with deep cameo contrast can be a breathtaking addition to any collection, and in some cases, proof coins with small variations or unusual characteristics can be worth even more. Another reason coins like the 1981 dime can reach such high values is the demand from passionate collectors. The Roosevelt Dime series has become one of the most collected modern coin series in the United States. Completing a set with every year, mint mark, and variety is a challenge that many collectors take on, and when demand meets rarity, prices rise dramatically. Now, let's talk about the excitement of discovery. One of the most thrilling parts of coin collecting is the possibility that a small coin hiding in your change jar or tucked away in an old drawer could be worth a fortune. The 1981 dime is a perfect example of this. You might glance at it and think it's worth only 10 cents, but under the right conditions, with the right error or the right grade, it could be a treasure worth thousands. This is what makes coin collecting such a rewarding hobby. You never know when the next big find is right in your hands. So the big question is, just how much can a 1981 Roosevelt dime be worth? While most are worth only their face value, there are rare and exceptional examples out there that defy expectations. In fact, some 1981 Roosevelt dimes have been known to sell for as much as $69,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $69,000 for a coin that many people would pass by without even a second thought. That is the incredible world of numismatics, where history, condition, rarity, and chance all come together to transform an everyday dime into a life-changing discovery. So the next time you spot a 1981 Roosevelt dime, don't ignore it. Take a closer look, check the mint mark, study its condition, and consider whether it might have something unusual that sets it apart. You never know, you might just be holding a small fortune in the palm of your hand. And if you enjoy learning about the hidden treasures waiting in ordinary coins, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future explorations into the world of rare and valuable coins. Until next time, happy collecting and may your pocket change always bring surprises.